The Punisher, who was Diddy and Cassie's sex slave, said he often gets freedom myth. That means not being able to erect. So when they were done with everything and every substance and liquid, documents of them were poured into her and on her, and Diddy licking her clean. Definitely a man that loves some man milk. To David James saying Diddy had multiple girlfriends, Cassie was just number 4, and Kim Potter the main. And Regina Ventura, Cassie's mom, saying Diddy called her demanding to recoup $20,000 that he had spent on Cassie. Then she took out a loan, mortgaging her home to whiskey glasses broken on Cassie, and her needing to go to the ER after the 2010 incident. So welcome back to the channel, guys. We're still on the Diddy's trial. It is another week. A review of what happened the previous week. So jumping into the trial details for the week, we had more witnesses like I had mentioned earlier in our previous videos. So last week led us to this week's trial. You can go watch the previous videos so you are up to speed of the trial. So our first witness that came on the stand was someone who had already spoken last week, so we had to continue with him today, this week, and that was we have David James, Diddy's former employee. He arranged everything for Diddy. He said he woke up before Sean, then arranged from what he's going to eat, where, and practically worked 20 hours a day and earned $70K a year. Yeah, I know. And when he said his entire cut, took a breath in. He told the court that Diddy always shut Cassie down whenever she wanted to pursue acting or modeling. He would tell her to focus on music. Same music, she only had one album, recorded hundreds of songs that he never put out. James said Diddy had multiple girlfriends, Cassie was just one of them, with Kim Potter the main. He continued that whenever Diddy traveled, he would help him pack 30 bottles of different pills. 30 freaking bottles of different pills. Baby oil, the regular, book the luxury hotel, and stack of cash, usually holding $10K. He was never alone. He knew this because he arranged everything from condoms to whatever you already know. He explained that some of the bottles of pills weren't labeled. He also admitted to helping Diddy's friends with party supplies like coke and stuff. He said when Diddy Katie were missing, the employees searched everywhere, including James and Cassie's belongings. No wonder Cassie said he actually thought she stole from him. And he made him take a lie detector test that was conducted by a guy who claimed to be an ex-FBI agent twice, and he passed both times. But it was intimidating, he said. Here's what I feel though. I think the defense would want to rule David's testimony as another disgruntled ex-employee. He also mentioned how Diddy accused him of leaking a blog post about he and Cassie. He was on a computer at Diddy's house when Diddy and Cassie returned from the club. The first thing he did was pull up the search history. Diddy's disgusting, like a horrible person, yeah? There's no denying that. Even if I feel he denies all the allegations, like even if he walks away with these accusations upon him, trust me when I say his dignity he had globally is gone, totally vanished. Like whoever is going to look at him the same way again with the nasty thing he has done. Then on the cross-examination, he basically repeated all he said before and added that Diddy often say things like he got her, Cassie, where he wants her to be. The defense also brought up a past altercation with a female chef where he grabbed her and uttered "stay in your lane," and the HR had to get involved. The HR made him write her a note and buy her gifts. David James admitted to admiring Diddy. He called him a brilliant marketer, just business-wise though. The defense told the courts one of Diddy's staff fainted out of exhaustion. Then David answered and said that this is what comes with from the job. When they worked, he was tired and fired. Basically, he's saying it was like a slogan they use. You get tired, then you're fired. Then Cassie's mom was our second witness. We had Regina Ventura, Cassie's mom, who came on the stand. And one thing I can tell you is seeing her there, you just know it's about to be very emotional, because hearing and knowing the depth of what your child went through, whether she accepted or not, will make you emotional and make you question yourself where you went wrong. Regina Ventura told the court She took a home equity loan just to keep her daughter from Diddy. She said she got a mail from Cassie in 2011 using an alias of Veronica Band and said Diddy is threatening to show explicit tape of me and ham-kicked Cody when he's out of town. Regina said Diddy called her personally demanding to recoup the $20,000 that he had spent on Cassie. So she and her husband took out a loan that wired the money to Bad Boy's record, and 4 days later it was returned and she never heard from him again. The jury saw photos Regina took of her daughter when she came home for holidays. It was the first time I heard about the abuse, she said. Then some years back, I read an article of a girl being beaten in a car. I asked her if she was the one, but she denied it. She described another incident in 2016 during Cassie's 30th birthday where Diddy took her phone. As she confronted him, she tried to hit him, but she couldn't reach. And then she called the police. Then he gave the phone back, and he left with Cassie's car. When she finished, everyone was quiet. The prosecutor had no question. She was the first witness that the prosecutor didn't cross-examine. Everything she said coincided with everything Cassie had said earlier. Then we had our star witness of the week. I think this is the one that everybody was waiting for, the Punisher. Yeah, let's talk about the Punisher, the witness we all have been waiting for. If you don't know who he is, go watch the previous videos, guys. Anyway, he was one of the regular escorts used by Cassie and Diddy during their freakups from 2012 to 2015. He spoke explicitly how he would get freezer meat, that means not being able to erect. He explained all this in his book. Now, the reason why the book came into play was because he wrote about Diddy and Cassie in his book, but never mentioned names. He refers to them as a wealthy married couple. He first met Cassie and Diddy at Trump's hotel, where he was called for like $200 per session. He said Cassie explained to him that they just want him to do a sexy dance for them, and her husband is a voyeurist and loves to see her proud of her. But for now, just do a sexy dance and maybe baby oil may come into play. She said her husband may come into the room but pay no attention to him. So they got into it, but the first time they couldn't get into it because the husband, Diddy, allegedly would stay in the corner instructing her. Now, another person telling us that he was the mastermind and director of the entire freak-off. He said he is partially deaf due to his time as an exotic dancer because he spent a lot of time in the club, and due to the loud music, he doesn't hear clearly. So here is where his confession became really entertaining. He went further to say the husband might say something like, move to the right, and he will probably hear something like, I bet that hoe is tight. And it will make him instantly go soft. He said Diddy would say, I like that position you're in. In my interpretation, it would be, I can't wait to penetrate him. This was definitely a hilarious relief because what? So he said, Cassie said she was comfortable with him and she would like to do this again. The next time they were in New York, they called him again. He said she wanted to go further. I got to be ready. So I took an ED pill, a dysfunctional pill, so I would be able to perform. So he said he performed a Bruce Lee tongue kung fu into 36 chamber style fellatio act. Whatever the hell is that, I have no idea. Like, people be wilding their sex life here though, but they actually said, from what I got, I don't really know if I'm right, it means that he stunk eating the box like food. In fact, anybody with a better explanation, help out in the comment section, please. Eventually they started having sex, but he didn't finish, and it was obvious the couple wanted him to finish. So the next time he might have to take another pill. So he took a density pill. He would thought he'd be able to finish. So he'll be able to finish. Still, he couldn't finish because he took the ED pill first, remember? And now he took a density pill. And it made him too woke. He couldn't even finish still. So he stepped outside, googled it, and took some water and came back and he could finish with Cassie. Then he said he went soft again because of what he saw. Everyone in the courtroom could feel he was about to say something crazy as he adjusted on their seats with stretch and face focus. He said he saw Diddy helping Cassie clean up. So what exactly? Like, they were done with everything, and every substance and liquid that came out of them were poured on her and into her, and Diddy was licking her clean. Definitely a man that loves some man milk, I thought to myself, and seeing that, it turned him off and couldn't get it erect. Something that stood out for me was he said he never knew it was Diddy at first, working with them for over a year and a half due to the different disguise, until the day the hotel welcomed him on their screen. He could confirm what he already wanted. Diddy is a freak, yo. Like, even for a sex worker, you could tell. He said sometimes they would have these freak ups back-to-back days, or it will last for 4 hours. The defense now is spinning his testimony, saying Diddy has anger issues, fueled by jealousy, and yes, they are consensual swingers, but not a sexual trafficker. Now, they are still yet to link this case to the sexual trafficking case that they have on Diddy. Now, we have the Homeland Security, Jared Gannon. He's on the stand describing Diddy's March 2024 raid in his mansion. He said the reason he and his team was brought in was due to a sex trafficking investigation. That was why they raided his house. He said they waited until Diddy went on a vacation. Then they hit the gate and got in. They admitted to having agents on boats in case someone tried to escape. Then the jury was shown what was inside Diddy's master's bedroom closet. Now, it's not just baby oil we're talking about. We're talking about AR-15 loaded scratched serial numbers. I repeat, AR-15 loaded scratched serial numbers. Why would the guns you have in your house, all their serial numbers scratched? Think about it. Ghana said they found adult toys, lubricant, upper and lower AR with fully loaded magazine with serial numbers scratched out, which makes it hard to identify who owns the guns. There were 3 cell phones stuffed inside a Balenciaga boot. They found an iPhone in a Gucci bag. They found a white powder crystal rock-like substance, a plastic straw. Then another box that had MDMA and psychedelic capsule, pink packets of ketamine. Then they showed images of a knife wedged in the door. Then we had another witness who is Dr. Hughes, the top forensic psychologist. She's a top forensic psychologist. Like, she testified in the Amber and Johnny Depp's case. She's also known for bringing down coercive control and psychology of abuse survivors in courts. Now, this is for all the questions we've been having about her not being able to walk away. Dr. Hughes is here to help us understand why abuse victims stay in an abusive situation, why they seem like a willing participant and end up falling in love with the abusers. I mean, we've all heard stories like this. So she is a blind expert, meaning no contact to Cassie at all or being exposed to any of the evidence. She just has to explain the behavioral pattern of abuse victims and why they stay. She started by saying abuse isn't just physical, but about power and control, financial dependence, isolation, shame. Is a trap. How would you leave if you don't have access to tangible resources? She went on to say victims don't leave because of weakness. It's a trauma bond, and most times they still have love and kindness, which is what the victims often want from their partners. And when it shows up, it's a powerful reinforcement. Wow, this is crazy. At this point, everyone was adapt to listen because her theories made a lot of sense. Everyone in the room was on their notepad, penning down as many points as possible. It may take a multiple attempt to leave, and victims may return not just for love, but because the abuse continues even after they try to go. She broke down passive and active defense, meaning from coiling up to throwing things back, anything to stop the pain, which leads to more pain. Victims often use drugs or alcohol before seeing the abusers just to numb themselves from what is coming. She explained why most victims don't speak up soon enough and why their story may sound fragmented but real. It's harder to talk about abuse when it comes from someone you love. Victims will speak about abuse from strangers faster than their partner. They often minimize or avoid saying abuser because they are still in self-blame, still telling themselves that nobody who said he loves me did this to me. They said victims remember the core. That means the sensory moment, but not every detail. That doesn't mean they are lying. It's their brain protecting itself while holding on to what matters the most. So now the prosecutor in cross-examination, they asked her if it's true she hasn't reviewed any of the case files. She said yes. The only thing I know is that there's a Cassie involved, and this is about legal analysis and not medical evaluation. So they try to paint her bias on the case, that she makes all her money by testifying in court. They also try to discredit her by bringing up a 2015 webinar she gave pregnant victims how to prepare for court. Dr. Hughes, said it was a webinar funded by Violence Against Women Act through the Department of Justice grant. But the judge shut it down because no matter what you say, she still doesn't have the facts of this case. So next on the stand is Judge Kaplan, Diddy's executive assistant, who needed an immunity to testify, so he was granted anyways. He said during his time with Diddy, his day started by 9:30 a.m. He would make sure the chef and the housekeepers were set and Diddy's bathroom was prepped with toiletries and medication. Medication in the morning. Wow. He worked 80 to 100 hours a week up till 7 a.m. He made $125,000 a year. He joined in 2013 as an assistant to the COO before being promoted to the assistant of Sean Combs. Now, the question in my mind is, why is Kaplan asking for immunity before testifying? Who knows what he saw, what he heard? Now, his testimony starts by detailing more of what he did from unpacking bags filled with candles and liquor, baby oil and astroglad. All these are familiar from what we've heard before. But in case you're wondering what we're talking about, go watch our previous videos on Diddy's trial. At first, my job was to keep restocking, he said. He spoke to Diddy multiple times a day about food, technology support, and sometimes party favors and liquor. Sometimes I fly to New York City and Miami to make sure Diddy's room are set up right. Kaplan said Diddy used the alias Frank Black, which is a nod for Biggie's alter ego, to book hotel rooms, and when Diddy left, he cleaned up the mess. The mess is made up of what you already know, like baby oil and the rest of them, with something called a brown powder. He said he didn't ask what it was. He picked out MDMA for Diddy in Miami and an unknown drug in LA with just name and number. That was part of his job, because part of his job was protecting the public image of Diddy. So, as of Thursday, Kaplan's still under immunity and still testifying. Now, at this point, it's no news Diddy is a violent, crazy maniac who never has chills and always ready to beat up Cassie, whether in clubs, at home, or in the air. Kaplan said he saw Diddy beating the hell out of Cassie one time in a private jet, glass breaking and screaming, and no one moved. Cassie was on her back, legs up. She was trying to protect herself, with Diddy standing over her with a whiskey glass. Then she yelled, "Isn't anyone seeing this?" I mean, this can be an accessory to Sean's crime, probably the reason why he is asking for an immunity. Another time he saw her on the bed with her face physically bruised while he passed by. Then he was asked to get a doctor to help her with the bruises. He said he gave his resignation notice in September 2015. He left because he didn't want to be part of helping hide abuse. He told Diddy his dad was sick and he needed to leave, and Diddy was gracious enough to let him go. But he still sent Diddy a happy birthday on his birthdays because he liked Diddy and wanted to keep a relationship with him. He called him God among men, but he also called the abuse horrible. He said he quit after the incident with Cassie on the jet and after Diddy threw apples at another woman. We definitely see the reason for his immunity. This guy clearly admires his boss. Now, Kid Cudi. Finally, Kid Cudi on the stand. It got me hyped actually because everyone was waiting for this. You could tell from the satisfaction and the relaxed demeanor we all had. I, for one, was very interested in the one-on-one conversation they had. So, let's get into it. So, King Cudi arrived at court this morning escorted by the US Marshal and the Homeland Security and smoking cigarettes. So, he began by saying he and Cassie dated in 2011. They were friends at first, and he thought her relationship with Sean was over. We already know the backstory of Cassie's testimony, where she used the burner phone to reach out to Cudi, and Diddy also allegedly promising to blow his car. Again, go watch our previous videos so you are up to speed to the issues and also understand where Cudi is coming from. Diddy broke into Cudi's house, moved his camera and locked his dog in his bathroom and left gifts meant for family opened on the counter. He said it started around 6 a.m. and the call came from Cassie. She sounded scared. She asked me to come get her and I did. Cassie's friend Capricorn called, then crying said Diddy and someone else was inside my house. When I got home, my security cameras was moved, my dog locked in the bathroom and gift bought for family members opened. He said he spent the Christmas with Cassie. Then Diddy texted him another time wanting to talk to him. He reminded him of what he did in his house and said he doesn't want to talk to him. He also filed a police report that day. Then he told the jury his car was blown with a Molotov cocktail thrown into the top of the Porsche. He wasn't home. His dog sitter called panicking and told him what had happened. He showed the pictures of the damage and also described it. He said law enforcement found the cocktail in the driver's seat, but when he got there, it was ash and glass. Now, after the car incident, Cuddy met with Diddy face to face. No drama, no team. They talked about Cassie, how it started and how it ended. The shocking thing about the car incident was when he was being cross-examined, they dropped a DNA report gotten from the car that it was a woman. I mean, that is misleading if you ask me, but I'm not surprised because this dude is an alleged criminal. Then Cuddy confirmed he never heard from the police, just silent. So he had no idea they got a DNA of a woman. Now, who is too powerful enough to keep the police silent? That he never knew this detail about his own car until the day in court. Very, very confident for the report to appear. How generous of the police department in helping this case. So Cuddy asked Diddy straight up if he blew his car. Diddy said he doesn't know what he's talking about. Cuddy said he and Cassie just stopped talking and there was no damage in his home. And in 2015, when they met in Soho House, Diddy pulled him to the side and said he was sorry for everything, which brought him peace. The cross-examination asked if Cassie played him. He said yes. So Cuddy was still clarifying something about ending his relationship with Cassie because Diddy was violent. The defense said he was just in love and they had both been played. Cuddy said true, but not the entire story. Cuddy said Combs' employee Capricorn Clark called him that morning that Diddy physically forced her into a car and was heading to his house. So he broke things off because he feared for both of their lives and their safety and knew that Sean Combs was violent. So here now we have Cassie, former hairstylist Myla Morales. She worked for Diddy from 2000 to 2005. She saw Cassie like a younger sister. She said it was Grammy weekend 2010 after a party at Prince's house. Myla and Cassie, they both went back to the hotel. We've had something like this before. And that same night, Diddy walked in and started screaming. Myla said he left. Cassie was distorted. She had a swollen eye and a busted lip and a knot on her head. Myla took her home and Cassie stayed with her for days. I didn't know what to do. I was scared for my life. That is why I never called the police. I called a doctor friend to examine Cassie at 2010 hotel incident because Cassie had injury to her face, stomach. The doctor told Cassie she needed to visit the ER, but Cassie refused. I feared Combs. I feared for my life. And after that day, they never spoke about it again. Now, the defense showed jury glam shots of Cassie in Wiz Khalifa's video shoot, trying to prove she had a career. And let me remind you, Myla admitted to speaking with a lawyer after 2010 hotel incident because she was very worried that although she did not see what had happened, but she saw the aftermath of what was done. Then here now we have a hotel manager from El Emerge. I hope I'm calling that right. So he's a manager of a luxury hotel in Beverly Hills. He told the jury Sean Combs checked in under multiple names in the hotel starting from 2006, including Jackie Starr, Frank White, Frank Black, and Ryan Lopez. Staff notes always include spilled candle wax, use of excessive oil, which placed room out of order after checkout. Another says spray air freshener down the hall before he arrives. He usually requires them spraying a particular kind of air freshener in the hallway before he arrives. Every time he booked the hotel, he automatically added extra $1,000 to cover for damages because it's sure he must cause damage with those baby oil of his. This said manager was not cross-examined by the defense. So now we have the computer forensic agent. He was the last guy for the week. As at Thursday, you already knew that it was Memorial Day on Friday, then Monday court open on Tuesday this week, which we knew. So we had Judge Croft. He told the jury that they got 3 laptops, one belonging to Cassie and another had Frank Black as a username. The third one would not even turn on. He extracted data from Cassie Ventura's device. So all this just tells you and still paints a picture of the kind of person Sean Diddy Combs is, but yet to prove or link to the sex trafficking case. So we will see you next week with Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former executive assistant, taking the stand. Who knows what her testimony would be. It might just help us link this case to the sex trafficking charge that he has. Now remember, Sean Combs is innocent until proven guilty, which is solely the responsibility of the jury. So thanks for watching.